Welcome. This is the August 24th, 2020 meeting of the Goffstown Select Board. This meeting is being conducted remotely via WebEx with public access via telephone. There will be more details on how you can participate in just a few moments. Going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now some information relative to how we're going to conduct the meeting tonight. And this is under the Right to Know Law meeting checklist. As chair of the Goffstown Select Board, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are doing several things. A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The town is utilizing the WebEx platform for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number, area code 603-766-5646, and using a participation code 785645, followed by the pound sign. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with a posted agenda. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-384-3624 and we'll provide assistance. And D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We're going to start the meeting by taking a roll call of attendance. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the Right to Know Law. I'll begin. This is Collis Adams. There's no one with me tonight. I am not available on WebEx. I've lost internet due to the thunderstorm. However, I do have audio capabilities, so I am listening and participating via audio. Kelly? Kelly?
I'm sorry, I was still on mute. Kelly Boyer, no one in the room with me, just a beagle.
Thank you. And I think Peter, is Peter not with us? Peter, have you joined us?
Pete did respond via text. He is unable to join the meeting this evening.
Okay, Selectman Georgiantis is not with us this meeting, so we'll move on to, let's see, Mark.
Yes, I am here. Nobody in the room but me.
Thank you. And finally, Chet.
I am here and I'm the only one in the room.
Thank you. Okay, the next order of business is the acceptance and correction of the minutes. We have minutes from August 10th, 2020, both public and non-public minutes.
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes from 8/10/20, public and non-public with any corrections if need be.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by Mark and a second by Kelly. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Next are some announcements. I only have one announcement that I'll read at this time. The public notice, Goffstown Supervisors of the Checklist. The supervisors of the checklist will be at Town Hall, 16 Main Street, Goffstown, New Hampshire, on Thursday, August 27th, 2020, in room 109 from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. for new voter registrations and to make changes in names and/or addresses. Please note that party affiliation changes cannot be made at this time. Please bring your own pen and wear a mask while in line and in the building. If you are registering to vote, please bring your photo ID, proof of date of birth, and residence address. Anyone not born in the United States must also bring proof of citizenship. Any person with a disability who needs to be provided a reasonable accommodation to participate, please call 497-890 extension 100 at least 72 hours in advance to make accommodations. Thank you. We do have a couple of appointments and a couple of public hearings. We've got an appointment at 6:15. It's a little early for that yet. And we do have public hearings at 6:45 and 7 o'clock. So we'll wait for a 6:15 appointment. Why don't we skip down to the town administrator's report, Derek, please? Is that tab 7?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the members would go to tab 7 in their packet, you have the committee meeting schedule for the next 3 weeks. On Wednesday at 6:30 PM, the HDC will meet at Grassmere Town Hall.
Yep, got that.
And at 7 PM on Wednesday, Conservation Commission will be meeting remotely.
I have that covered.
Next week on Monday, the Select Board has a special meeting scheduled for, for 6 PM. We have a couple of public hearings that need to take place, so we will have a meeting next Monday. And then on Wednesday of next week at 6 PM, the EDC will be meeting remotely.
I have that covered.
Thank you. And then on, just a reminder that on Monday, September 7th, Labor Day, Town Hall will be closed. However, the town clerk's office will be open from 3 PM to 5 PM to receive absentee ballots and request for absentee ballots. So that's for 3 to 5 on Monday on Labor Day. On Tuesday, September 8th, is election day for the New Hampshire state primaries. The polls are open from 7 AM to 7 PM. I will send out more information for those select board members as we get closer to that. On Wednesday, September 9th at 9 AM, the Highway Safety Committee will be meeting, and that'll be a remote meeting.
Yep, got that.
And let's see, on Thursday at 7 PM, Planning Board will be meeting, and that is also the CIP presentation to the Planning Board.
I'll be there for CIP.
Thank you.
Okay. At your next page, you've got your consent agenda. You have employee status reports for seasonal grounds supervisor at Parks and Rec. This is a rehire. IT help desk. This is a bachelor's degree differential. DPW solid waste attendant resignation. DPW highway utility supervisor successful completion of probation period. DPW solid waste foreman step increase. DPW equipment operator, successful completion of probationary period, and a DPW seasonal laborer. This is an end of that seasonal employment. There is a motor vehicle title for Ford F-550 4x4. This needs the signature of the chair or designee, signing as the buyer. Rights to inter for West Lawn Expansion Cemetery, Section 2, lots 57 and 58. And then an event permit for Circle National Club karaoke and live bands, August 24th, 2020 through November 5th, 2020 from 5 to 10 PM over at 550 Rockland Ave. And then there was one other item, was the draft proclamation that went around to board members by email today, and is, Catherine contacted everybody about trying to come in and get that signed. So those, that's the consent agenda.
I'll
Motion
make a
approved.
motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Seconded by Mark. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, do you want to do public comment at 6:10 PM? Because I do have some callers on the line. I don't know if they're on for that item or,
Yep, no, let's do that right now. It's 6:11, so let's do that. Can you take the first caller, please, Derek?
yeah, so I just ask any callers that have called in by the telephone, if you wish to speak for public comment, if you could press *9 on your telephone and I will unmute you. Please identify yourself and your address.
My name is Lucille Villamuir. I live at 3 Forest Ave in Goffstown. Do I have a connection? The connection is very poor, so I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, we can hear
No,
you
we-
fine.
We can hear you and welcome. Thank you for participating.
Thank you. I am opposed to restricting access on town dam property at Unkaloonik Lake. I have owned property at 3 Forest Ave for almost 47 years and have used the dam property for fishing and swimming. Restricting access will definitely rob me of recreational opportunities that I have enjoyed with my family all these years. This property has been a source to many of funds for many Goffstown residents throughout the years. This proposal seems to be restricting access benefits to the whole community. Please do not restrict access on town dam property at Unkaloonik Lake. And I guess that's, what I had to say. And I hope, that you
Okay.
vote against it. My husband would also like to say a few words. His name is Thomas Villamuir. Is that permissible?
Certainly, go
Yes.
right ahead.
Yes. Okay, one moment.
Yes, my kids have grown up here. I have been here. We've used that town property for many years. My kids boated out of there, fished. I see kids fishing there all the time. It's a great place to have fun and enjoy Unkaloonik Mountain as it is. There's not too many places to fish on this lake. Most of the places have camps around them or whatever. It restricts the lake pretty much. So I would wish you would consider not doing anything with that property, not just for one person, but take in consideration that the whole community is using that property. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else who'd like to make a comment at this time? Have your opportunity.
That is the
Anyone else on the
only,
line?
that is the only individual that's on the telephone line at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. Well, I have 6:15, so it is time for our 6:15 appointment with Jocelyn Bryant, 118 Mountain Base Road. Is Ms. Bryant with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Good evening. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay. I had submitted some additional information after the last meeting to support my concerns about privacy. It was brought up at the last meeting that I bought this property on that abuts the public dam. I should have basically known what I was getting into. When I purchased the property, however, the dam looked much different than what it does today. There was the water overspill that came, over and into the yard, going in the stream that goes through my yard, which created a natural barrier for privacy. And that doesn't exist anymore. So I understand the concerns of people that want to fish and be in that corner. I'm not trying to take that away from the residents, but I would like some consideration as far as the changes that you've made to this dam and how they do affect privacy.
Okay. Yeah, we do have pictures that you provide in our packet. We can see those photos. Thank you for those. Anything else you would like to add?
The other concern was brought up about the dock that's in the water and the liability concern there. I expressed previously, I believe, the liability concern that I have regarding the head wall to the dam. And there's some additional pictures there, which I think show why there should be a concern of giving the public access to that head wall and that intake out in the water. I think is a huge liability versus a dock that's sitting in, maybe 3 feet of water. In addition to that, I have contacted the state and the town building officer to find out about permitting that dock. And I do have the paperwork available and ready to submit for that.
Okay, I think are you familiar with the history of the dam and the reconstruction of the dam? And the fact that the Department of Environmental Services, the Dam Safety Bureau oversees all of the dams in the state to make sure that they're maintained in a safe manner. And this all started as a result of an inspection done by DES, the Dam Safety Bureau, who determined that the dam was deficient and posed a risk to the public safety, particularly those downstream, if there were to be a failure of the dam. So DES issued what's called an administrative order to the town of Goffstown, gave them 2 options. You could either repair the dam and bring it up to current standards, or alternatively, you could breach the dam, eliminate the impoundment, and return the area to free-flowing stream. So the town was under an order from the state, so the town expended considerable money to hire a consultant and then pay for a contractor to come in and build a new replacement dam upgraded to meet today's safety standards. So that's just by way of background. That's how we got to where we are today with the dam in place now. So, the town was doing due diligence by making the repairs in accordance with the design that was prepared by a consulting engineering firm and carried out that construction in accordance with those plans.
Okay, I don't think that anybody would have thought that, the general public would be coming over and standing on that head wall, or, even young children. It's quite a fall. If somebody falls, they are going to get seriously injured.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to prevent them from doing that on a consistent basis. And I don't think that that was probably the intention of this design.
No, again, the intention with design and construction was to bring it up to current standards. Did you have more you wanted to add, Mrs. Bryant? I'm going to ask the members of the select board if they have questions or comments for you, unless you're done.
I believe that's all I had.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Ms. Bryant, from the
Call
members of
us.
the board? Yes, Mark?
Yes, I had asked last week if we could find out the barriers and lines, property lines. I'm looking at the picture on page 5, or section 5 to tab 5. Do we know exactly what we own and what we don't own there? Has that been figured out yet?
Mark, Mark, this is Derek. We don't have a survey on file. The picture that you have at tab 5 is a copy of the tax maps, and Ms. Bryan also provided a copy of the mortgage inspection report that shows the approximate location. I did pull out the deed and what we have on file on assessing, and it looks like when it was originally all the plans were drawn up in this area. It may have been a right-of-way, a 20-foot right-of-way given to the town for that impoundment, but we haven't done the deed research or actually had a surveyor go out to identify where that area is.
Okay, thank you.
So if I can make a suggestion, might want to contact the Dam Safety Bureau at DES. They would have the construction drawing, more than likely did as-built drawing as well, complete to document the actual footprint of the dam and the dimensions and configuration of the dam. So we may want to put in a call to DES to see if they can provide some help.
Well, you do have, Collis, you do have the bidding documents that were used for the construction in your packet that show the
Yeah.
approximate, the head wall, and all that. So you do have that. It's just, again, we don't have a boundary survey of the dam, the property which is identified as map 42, lot 51, or Miss Bryant's property, which is map 42, lot 52.
Yeah, I understand that. But again, the point I'm trying to make is more than likely DES did an as-built drawing once construction was complete that would depict the actual structure as it stands now. Now, where that is in relation to property lines is a slightly different issue, but at least if we could get a copy of the as-built plans, we would know exactly what's on the ground out there right now. And I'm sure that DES will make those plans available if they're just requested.
I also agree with Collis. We need to find the barriers and the bounds of what we're talking about before we make any type of fix or permanent decision.
Yeah, and as I understand it, Ms. Bryan, you filed an after-the-fact application of DES to retain
Yes.
the dock? Okay, and what's the status of that? Have you heard back from them?
No. I just received the application and completed it, so it's ready to be filed.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you can just keep us apprised, if you happen to come by any information that would be helpful to us, that would be appreciated.
Sure.
Great. Any other questions for Mrs. Bryant? Ms. Bryant? Anyone? So Derek, it sounds like we still have got some research to do on this issue.
Yes,
yeah,
I can contact DES about getting an as-built plan and also provide you copies of the deeds that we have for this area. Is that the last information that the board requires to make a decision on Ms. Bryant's request?
Well, until we've got sort of a survey that tells us definitively where the property bounds are, we don't know where Ms. Bryant's property is. We don't know where the dock is relative to her property versus the town property. But it certainly would bring us a lot closer to the game.
And I would just add that I think there's two separate issues here. One is the dock that I think that we can deal with administratively at Town Hall when Ms. Bryant submits that after the fact permit to DES. We can work with DES on identifying property boundaries and what rights she would have as a property owner. The other outstanding item is the request to restrict access on the dam head wall.
Yeah, okay, well, I think we can deal with it right now. So we're talking about specifically restricting in some way or another public access to the dam structure, which would include the head wall, the embankments, the intake beehive, the outlet structure, the whole thing in totality, the whole dam structure. So I'd like to hear from other board members whether or not they think it would be appropriate. You've heard from a couple of folks tonight relative to this issue. So I'd like to take action on this tonight. I think we've got all the information we need to take action specifically relative to whether or not we're going to restrict access to the dam structure.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would just like to comment that I do think that there are safety issues to be addressed for sure. I can certainly empathize with Ms. Bryant on the privacy issue, but I can't wrap my head around restricting town property to the public. I feel like the callers tonight certainly had their say, and I think that the taxpayers should have access to town property that is meant for the public.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. I will point out too that several of the photos that were submitted shows folks, young and old alike, fishing from the dam and enjoying some outdoor time at the dam. So just throw that out. That's part of our packets. Thank you, Ted. Does anybody else want to comment? Any other board?
Call us, it's Mark.
Yes.
I would withhold making any decisions until we hear from DES and all the powers to be, so that if we do make this decision tonight, we don't have to rescind anything and make changes to what we've already done. I'd ask that we please hold off. I don't think we're that far away from coming up with a solution. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. I'd rather be proactive in resolving the issues now than having to revisit this and take some action that we'd have to undo or redo or modify in some way. So that being the case, I'm going to table this matter until the next meeting.
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry?
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
Please, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm not quite sure that we need that information just to make a decision on whether or not we would restrict access to the dam as a whole, because I think to do that, we would have to have someone go out and look at the boundary line. But I agree. I don't think that we're in a position to responsibly restrict access on taxpayer-owned property. So I'm not sure what that information is going to do for us additionally, further than the conversations we've already had. I would, however, like for us to go out there and see if there's any additional safety protocol we need to put into place, but I'm pretty confident that we can make a vote this evening on this specific issue.
Yeah, the only piece of information, and I'll reiterate, is if we can get an as-built plan from DES, we would be able to go out with probably with our town forces, our DPW forces, and determine the actual extent of the dam and whether or not it's built in accordance with the plans, the design plans, and if not, how it deviates. And then we would have an as-built plan that we could stamp. We would know exactly what the limits of that structure are. That's the only value I see from that, and it's a pretty important one, actually. So I think there is something to be gained by taking a breath, going out, reaching out, I say DES, and getting it as-built of that dam structure. I mean, we may find out with an as-built plan, heck, that the total slope of the dam is not close to where it was designed to be, and that's going to have a big impact as to public versus private ownership. It's a legal question whether or not that will come into play, but it may or may not. You know, it's not unusual for, a surveyor to go out and do an as-built plan and find out that dimensions are wrong, locations are wrong, and they can be adjusted. And that's the purpose of an as-built plan, is to specifically identify those discrepancies between the design and the build, so that we know exactly what we're dealing with.
Mr. Chairman, I guess if it's your decision to table it, I would just ask that you do not table it until the next meeting. You table it until such time that we can get that requested as-built plan and perhaps have an on-site meeting with Ms. Bryant, DPW, to just kind of look at that and compare it to the as-built plan.
Yep, that's a reasonable next step. So that's what I'm going to table it until we have that additional information, specifically and most importantly, the as-built plan. Yes, then we'll bring it back right away and bring together the folks that need to be brought together and see what our next steps are. So you could put this on the next available agenda slot if we find out from DES that there is information that's going to help us move this. That would be great.
Okay, I will do that. We will coordinate with Ms. Bryant, and then once we have all that information, we will set this as an appointment on a future select board agenda.
Great, thank you. Okay, next is, wow. You hear that on my phone? No? Okay, next on the agenda is item 6. It's an appointment at 6:30. It is 6:30. Is the appointment David Gersey? Is he with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Hello, you guys can hear me?
We can. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Certainly. Floor is yours. Give us a little bit of background, Derek, if you could just set the stage for Mr. Skursky.
Yes, thank you very much. Or Mr. Skursky, if you just allow me, I'll just kind of go through a quick, brief background. Mr. Skursky is seeking a building permit on a Class 6 road. This is allowed under RSA 674:41. One of the requirements is that when the select board grants a building permit on a Class 6 road, a municipal waiver of liability is signed that is written into the state law. Just for some background, Mr. Skursky did go to the Zoning Board of Adjustment and was granted a variance from required setbacks to construct an addition for mechanical room on August 4th. The planning board, as is custom with the select board's procedure, the planning board did review this request and voted to not recommend the issuance of a permit to build on a Class 6 road. The Conservation Commission is not part of that process, but they did receive a copy because they are there's conservation land that surrounds this, and in your packet is an excerpt from their minutes. They did not take a motion or a vote relative to this request. And then I would just ask Mr. Skursky if he could detail what he's proposing to do at the property.
Yeah, so I'm David Skursky, and my proposition is to build a house. It started off as a camp so that I could be close to my father. I grew up on the mountain. My father lives there currently, and we work a lot on the mountain. We take care of the neighbors, the neighborhood, the mountain. I do fish at the dam, as you guys were talking about earlier. And yeah, we're just trying to develop it. I found this piece of property. There are not too many available left on the mountain. And it's a perfect thing for us to, my father and I, to develop and work on together. It's been a very bonding process. We have equipment and tractors that we take care of the area. The Class 6 roads, we use our tractors to snow blow and maintain roads and take care of it for all the residents. We take care of the beaches, mow lawns, bring up the garbage. So, you know, getting back up there is an asset to the town, and me being there, yeah, I want to develop this property and be close to my father. We've done everything that I think the town has had issues with emergency response, fixing the roads, and I'm asking for the building permit and the variance so that I can add a addition on for a fire suppression system and a mechanical room. That's what I do for work. So hopefully that will mitigate some of the concerns with the town.
Thank you. So I'm looking at so the addition for the mechanical room, is that the low portion of the building?
The low portion of it's the back portion of the building.
Yeah, the back one. So it's not as tall as the main portion of the buildings, I guess is what I'm getting at. The picture I'm looking at.
Height to the building, though.
Okay. Any questions from board members? And so I understand neither the police nor the fire have any issues. Did they weigh in on this? Do I understand? Did I remember reading that correctly, Derek?
We typically do not provide this type of request to police and fire for comment. I'll quickly look and see I don't see anything. I don't know that Nancy reached out to either. Again, we typically do not. And one of the reasons state law requires a municipal waiver of liability when it comes to a class 6 is a town, if a town starts maintaining a class 6 road, it could come to the point where it does actually get upgraded. But right now, emergency services may not be able to get up to this location, especially during the winter. I know this is a very difficult location for them to get to during the winter months when there's snow and ice. So that's why the state law requires that municipal waiver of liability.
Derek?
Yeah.
There is, on the memo at the end, the ECs, it does have Chief Brian Allard and Bill Connor listed.
And Adam Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw with the EC listing.
It's on page 4 of the memo.
Yeah.
I think that's Nancy was just giving them an email copy of it. Again, typically our process, the select board's process when there's a request to build on a class 6 road is to request recommendation from the planning board. And then, so I guess they've seen it as a copy through email, but I don't know whether or not they have comments on it.
May I add something?
You may, sure.
I am
Go ahead.
also a fire suppression installer in the state of Massachusetts. So the system that I'm installing is to suppress the fires and if any were to occur. And the roads are not, they're not as steep as the previous fires that the town have been concerned about in the past. I am fairly flat in retrospect. So if I need to get to work and stuff like that, we maintain the roads daily.
So I'm looking at the, it's like an aerial photo. And it does show some red arrows. You see, come up Mountain Base, turn left onto Orr, and then left onto Incline, and then access the corner lot from there. Can you get access from the other side of Incline Ave as well?
We can. We re-clear the road. It has been reclaimed by nature, but we can adjust that now that we have signed the waivers to fix the roads. But
So
as far
Derek, the process from here is,
If the board were to vote to grant a building permit, Mr. Scursy has already signed the required municipal waiver of liability. We would need to record that. That way, any future property owner would be subject to that municipal liability waiver. And then Mr. Scursy would come in and need to pay for permits and all applicable fees with our building department. And I know that you do have a copy of quite a few of those permits already in your packet. There's a plumbing permit application. There's a well permit as well. So he would need to just come back in and pay for those and have them issued and necessary inspections done by the building department.
thank you, Derek. Any board members have any more questions for either Mr. Scursy or for Derek?
I have one
Mr.
question.
Chair,
Yep, wait, Mark and then Kelly. Mark?
You mentioned fire suppression system. Is that going to be a multiple, like an ABC system throughout the whole house? Or are we talking about a water suppression system under pressure?
that it will be a water suppression system under pressure constantly until it's called for with a tank.
Okay. How big is your tank? 500, 1,000, 2,000?
I believe it will be 500 or less. I'm not the engineer. I'm an installer and I'm a licensed installer,
Okay.
but I do have an engineer that will engineer it for me.
All right. So my last question before you go is, have you spoken to the town's fire prevention division regarding the building or construction of that?
I have not. I was waiting for the building permit to be, issued, and I would go through the proper channels as I do with every city that I work in. We go for it. So
I understand.
I was in Boy Scouts with Mr. Connor. He was my scout leader, so I have no problems working with him.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure whatever's going to be put up there is not something you're putting together. I don't want to go around any of the policies or procedures. And I know Lieutenant Connor well enough that he would make sure that it's put together properly up there. That's all. That's my final comment, Carlos.
No,
Hey, thank you.
absolutely.
Kelly, did you have something you want?
Sorry,
Sorry,
I worked with Mr. Connors back in the past, and I'm proud to work with him again.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my question was in regards to the road itself. We, in the past, have put recommendations for maintenance and things like that as a stipulation to either building or additional builds on lots in the past that abut Class 6 roads.
Yep.
Is that something we could have Nancy go out and take a look at to see if we should make that part of the agreement?
Kelly, I
don't see
would,
why not.
or Select Vice Chair Boyer, I would just say that typically we do not allow private residents to maintain town roads, including Class 6 roads. I know there are a handful of paper streets, or there have been some other issues where this has come up in the past. And we've actually done enforcement action to avoid maintaining or improving a Class 6 road. It's one
So
off
Derek,
of.
I remember now what you're referring to. If we were to, so what would be the process if we wanted to get that other end of this road cleared?
I would have to consult with DPW and might have to involve town council to see what limits of improvement could the town or Mr. Scursy or in partnership, what could be done while maintaining it as a Class 6 road. Otherwise, I wouldn't want the board to embark on some type of improvement that might upgrade the road and have some unknown consequences in the future.
Okay, I think if we get a sign off then that at least the Orr Ave to this road that's sufficient and the road is in good shape, I'd be willing to move forward at that. And then just a point of note that if we need to do some sort of maintenance to the Incline Ave entrance from Wordley Hill, that we take a look at that too, just to make sure that we don't have liability or responsibility in that.
I think we can work with DPW to come up with a solution that works for everybody, but doesn't, again, improve the road to a point where it's upgraded beyond Class 6.
So Kelly, so I gotta make sure I understand. So your suggestion or recommendation was you'd like to see it become a through road, albeit a Class 6 through road. Does that kind of summarize it?
No, I just want to make sure that we have some sort of sign off that there's sufficient access to the property based on the current Class 6 road standards that we have, because as the property owner mentioned from Wordley Hill, the Incline Ave entrance has been reclaimed by nature, as he put it. So I just want to make sure that we're in compliance with the part of access points that we have in case of emergency. And if that's good, then I'd be willing to move forward with this personally.
Yep, certainly. Okay. Any other
I'm full
final comment
work with it.
from board?
I agree
Go
with Kelly, Collis. Let's make sure all our ducks are in a row, and then if they are, we can move forward.
Yep, okay. Somebody prepared to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we grant permission to issue the building permit to allow construction of an existing seasonal dwelling into a year-round home located at 39 Incline Ave, a Class 6 roadway. Staff further recommends that the following conditions be placed on the motion: that the municipal liability for a Class 6 road waiver building permit be executed by Mr. David Scurzy and the Select Board, and any permits issued will be subject to all building and life safety codes.
Thank you, Kelly. Motion by Kelly. In a second.
Yes, sir, I'll second that.
Second by Mark. Is there any discussion on the motion? So now, call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-0-0. It is 6:45. We do have a 6:45 public hearing scheduled. So, Sarah, could you lead us to the public hearing, please? It's on tab 8 in your packet.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for select board members, it's at tab 8. In compliance with RSA 41:14-A, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to accept public input regarding the purchase of map 8, lot 13B, a property located off of Stinson Road, totaling 34.5 acres, to conserve land bordering Page Hill Marsh, which is a designated prime wetland. This evening is the first public hearing, and the second public hearing will be held next Monday, August 31st at 6:15 p.m. A vote is scheduled on this proposed land acquisition on Monday, September 14th, 2020.
Thank you, Derek. So I'm going to open the public hearing at this point. Is there someone who would like to make comments? Someone from the public who would like to make comments on this? Now would be your opportunity.
Mr. Chair, we do have David Neiman from the Conservation Commission, and I believe he would like to make comment.
Terrific. Good evening, David.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is an area, it's been a target, this area has been a target and focus of the Conservation Commission, part of our open space plan to preserve the lands around Page Hill Marsh, which is one of the finest of the prime wetlands in town. This land borders existing conservation properties to its western, southern, and eastern boundaries already. It's a combination of town-owned conservation land and also some private land that's under conservation easement held by the Piscataqua Land Conservancy. So there's really two big reasons why the Commission would like to acquire this. The first of all is just to complete the protection of Page Hill Marsh. This would give us, pretty solid protection all the way around it. And but the other reason is when we acquired these conservation lands, the other properties, our desire and intent was to also open up a recreational trail for the citizens of Goffstown to enjoy, because it's quite beautiful back there. To have access to it, we intend to construct a small parking area on Page Hill Road, which is designated by the X and the parking in the map. And the problem was that would give us access to about a third of the property that we had. The other 2/3 are on the southern side of the marsh. And so for most of the year, there's no access, no dry land access to get around to it. And so by acquiring 813B, we'll be able to extend that and open it up to the public to enjoy, all the area that we've acquired. Those are the real objectives for why we're looking for this.
Thank you, David, for that background. That's helpful. Are there any other members of the public, Derek, that you see that would like to comment?
We do have one caller on the line. If the caller wishes to participate in this public hearing, if you could press *9.
Good evening.
They are not, no. I don't think they wish to participate.
They dropped off? Okay.
No, they're still
Is there
there, but
Hello, caller. Would you like
no,
to provide?
Chairman Adams, I don't believe that they want to participate at this time. They may just be listening to the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll ask one last time. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to make comment on this issue? Now would be your opportunity before I close the public hearing. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and remind people there is a second public hearing on this matter scheduled for Monday, August 31st at 6:15 p.m. That would be another opportunity to provide comment. So I'll close the public hearing and move back to the agenda. Pardon me, I'm doing this old school with hard copy papers here, so there's a lot of flip-flopping back and forth. Let's see, we got through the consent agenda. I think we're at 7C, the road tracking form, if I'm correct, Derek, is that correct?
That is correct. We're at tab 7C. The board has a road tracking form from the planning department. This is to officially give street names to two streets that are in the Mass Road Crossing project, which is the 41-unit condo development that has conditional approval from the planning board. This is directly across the street from the Villa Augustina. The road to the west would be called Angel Point Circle, and the eastern street would be Villa Lane.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I apologize. This is the one I got confused with earlier. So this is the one where police, fire, and DPW have identified no issues. Hello, is Adam with us?
I am, Collis.
Okay, Adam. Let's see. Explain your comment to me. I'm trying to find it here.
Oh,
it was interesting. It was
Sure. One of the things that we look at when we take a look at these is whether or not the street name sounds like any other street name, and in this case, no. But the one thing that I thought maybe noteworthy is that both streets, both Villa and Angel Point, refer to other locations in town. So there is, probably thin, but there is a chance that if somebody calls in a suspicious character at Villa, the police might have to ask some follow-up questions. Do you mean the actual Villa or the Villa of the street, or vice versa? There's some illegal activity at Angel Point. Do they mean Angel Point Road or Angel Point, the actual Angel Point on the lake? So that was my only comment there. But if police and fire have no issues with it, they're the ones that have to get dispatched out. So.
okay, thanks. That explains the homonym perspective to me. Thank you. I don't think I've ever used that word before, but I will at some point in the future. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. What do we need to do with this?
You would vote to accept the road names as proposed.
Okay. So entertain a motion to effect.
I'll make a motion to, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're all set, Chet.
I'll make a motion to approve the names as proposed.
Thank you, Chet.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion on that motion? I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 4-0-0. Now we're at agenda item 7D, which is the 2020 MS1 summary.
Yes, in your packet, the town assessor has prepared the MS1 summary inventory of valuation. He's recommending that you approve and sign it. This represents a 1.3% increase over the 2019 valuation. This is good news because during budgeting, we assumed a half of a percent increase. So the 1.3 is better than we anticipated, and that will reflect on the 2020 tax rate when we set that in October.
Okay. It seems fairly straightforward to me. The numbers are, as Derek said, promising, but are there any comments from board members relative to the MS1?
Mr. Chair, I have a comment,
Yes, please, Kelly.
or a question, I should say. Derek, is this going to be submitted relatively soon, or is there going to be potential changes to this MS1?
The assessor would not propose any changes to this. He would submit it if, again, he's recommending approval this evening and would submit it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else from the board have questions or comments?
No, I'm
on
all
this
set.
item?
I'm all set.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, how about you?
All set.
You all
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we accept the assessor's MS1 summary inventory on evaluations for the town of Goffstown.
I'll second.
Approve and sign. Thank you. Motion is made by Mark and seconded by Kelly. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call a roll. I vote yes. Kelly,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
and Chet.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0-0. Next on the agenda is item 7E, request to remove a tree on municipal property.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this request came into the DPW director from the owner of 24 Main Street. They have a request to that the town remove a tree that is on town property. I will, let me just share my screen and I'll just show you the approximate location. So this is the town hall lot here. So this is town hall with 24 Main Street, which has the Blue Moose Cafe. So this is the approximate location of the tree. It's right on the property boundary between the two. And you have pictures in your packet kind of showing what the root system is starting to rip up that asphalt a little bit, and it's impacting the drainage along the side of the building, and it could potentially in the future impact the foundation on that. So the property owner or the building owner did reach out to Adam to basically ask if the town would be willing to remove that tree. Also in your packet, I would note, is the landscape plan when the brick walkway and the little park was put in 2005. That tree appears to have already been existing at that time and was not added as part of that landscaping project to kind of beautify town hall. But we did want to bring this request forward to the board.
And that's the one in the landscaping plan right on the corner of the building?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that location. We have enough drainage problems around town hall without these major root systems getting in there and, you know, raising Cain with pavement and drainage and everything else. That's just my observations. Other board members?
Call us, Mark. It's pretty cut and clear to me, looking at the asphalt, the way the asphalt is starting to hump up and the way things are going. That tree, for safety issues, I feel should be removed.
Thank you, Mark. Other board members have comments?
I'll just say that I agree with what Mark said.
Thank you, Chet. Kelly, do you have anything you want to add?
Nope, I'm on the same page.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we follow through with the existing plan to remove the tree on the property, the town's property, to create a safer environment.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chet. Motion a second. Any discussion on the motion? Being none, call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Passes 4-0-0. We are now on item 7F. The packet.
Mr. Chairman, we have a public hearing scheduled for 7 p.m.
Oh, you're right, we do. Yep. Thank you. Can you leave that one, please?
Yes, in compliance with RSA 41:14-A, the Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to accept public input. Looks like I cut and pasted the wrong thing. Hold on a second. To take public input on the proposed ordinance for, let me see, I'm just going to call up the right one. Sorry about that. It's like I pulled in the wrong one for the packet. Okay. Okay, so in compliance with 4114B, the Select Board are conducting a public hearing to accept public input on the proposed ordinance entitled Parking Prohibited on the South Side of Mountain Base Road from Railroad Ave to McFarland Road ordinance. Copies of the proposed ordinance are available online at www.goffstown.com or in the town clerk's office. This is the second of two public hearings. The first public hearing was held on August 24th. A vote is scheduled for this proposed ordinance on September 14th. And I will just say to the board members, at your last public hearing, resident David Pierce did call in and proposed a slight change to the ordinance, where instead of going all the way to Railroad Ave, it would go to Broussard Ave. Railroad Ave is not clearly marked by any street signs, and it is the parking area for the mountain.
Okay, thank you, Derek, for the background. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing relative to this matter. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to make comment on this item?
Mr. Chair, we do have one person on the line. I'm going to unmute you. If you could just identify yourself and your address for the record, please.
Good evening.
Hello, caller. Do you wish to speak on the public hearing on this matter?
Good evening. Now's your opportunity. Glad you could join us. Who do we have with us?
Hello?
Can you tell if they're still on the line, Derek, or not?
If you have a cell phone ending in 2605, do you wish to speak on the public hearing?
No, I don't wish to speak at this time. I was just listening.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, they do not wish to speak.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to make comment? Now's your opportunity.
Mr. Chair, can I just add one item? I did send out a memo from DPW to all board members that came in this afternoon. A gentleman, Mr. Andre Bedard, the homeowner of 146 Mountain Base Road, did go into DPW and just ask that if this ordinance is passed, any potential no parking signs not be placed on his property between his two driveways. And you have a copy of that memo that was emailed out this afternoon.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else from the public who'd like to comment? Now would be your opportunity. About to close the public hearing. No one else on the line, Derek?
Correct, no one else is on the line.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and we will move on in our agenda. Let's see. Now at item.
We're at tab 7F. This is a donation acceptance request.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
I've got the fire chief on the line. Even though this is under TA report, I'll let him kind of speak to it a little bit.
Okay, good evening, Chief.
Good evening, members of the board. This evening, I'm just looking for your approval to accept a PPE donation that we received from Healing Candles in Milford, New Hampshire. They donated 35 face shields for us at a value of $175. I'm just looking for your approval to accept those.
Excellent.
I'll make a motion that we approve the donation of 35 face shields valued at $175.
Thank you, Kelly. Second the motion? And it was Mark, I believe.
Yep.
Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Just item 7G on the agenda. 7G in your packet.
Yes, so this is a request for the board to vote to accept and expend CARES Act funds related to elections. This is in the amount of $47,546.22. I'd ask that Danielle, Assistant Town Administrator and Finance Director, speak to it.
Everyone. This grant opportunity is specific to the election, as Derek stated. Similar to the Gopher funds, it is a set limit. That $47,546.22 would be applicable to both elections and is going to be based on the number of absentee ballots sent out and processed. There's going to be a standard rate set by the state, and that rate has not yet been announced. But if we do want to participate in the grant, we need to have the approval in the minutes and sign and submit our grant paperwork by this coming Friday, the 28th.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. So we want to get out in front of this.
Yes.
Any questions from board members for Danielle, Derek? What the ask is here?
Mr.
Again,
Chair, I
you're-
have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Kelly.
Thank you. Is the time frame of the 28th doable for this grant proposal, Danielle?
Yes, this is actually just for us to submit our intent to
Okay,
apply with the grant and participate. We
great.
would actually wait until after each election to get the numbers submitted. And this grant doesn't require any specific receipt tracking since it's going to be based on a standard rate. That includes the 20% match.
Perfect. The other question I have, it says it does require a 20% match from the town that will be incorporated into the statewide standard cost rate used for the grant. What does that mean?
So right now, what the state is doing is they have surveyed a variety of communities to develop a cost per ballot that includes salary cost for the individuals putting together the ballot, the mail cost, supply cost, that all go into preparing and sending out those ballots. And that will be the standard cost rate. So our 20% cost may be more or less than that, but it's costs we're already incurring. So this essentially just makes us eligible for a reimbursement of part of our cost.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Anything else, Kelly?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
Any other board members have questions or comments on this?
All set, Collis.
Okay, thank you. Chet, you all set?
All set. Thank you.
Good. Okay,
I'll make that motion then. Motion to authorize the finance director or town administrator to sign any and all grant-related documents in relations to CARES Act funding for election assistance, as well as submit for reimbursement under the terms of the grant program as recommended.
thank you, Kelly. Motion
Second.
by Kelly, second by Chet.
Yep.
Any discussion on the motion? I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 400. Next
Hey,
on the
Mr.
agenda.
Chair?
Yes, yes.
I just also wanted to say thank you to Danielle and Derek for continuously finding these opportunities for us and keeping up with all of the state and federal opportunities that have been given to us during COVID. A lot. They're doing a lot.
Yeah, well, Well said. Yep, you guys done a great job. It's always good to be finding money.
And on this
Thanks.
one, this one was really Danielle finding this one before the application period expired. So very good job by her.
Thanks, Danielle.
Very welcome.
Okay. Okay, so we're moving on now.
Yes,
Go ahead,
at tab 7H, you have a bid award recommendation. This is for Office 365 licensing, migration, and implementation, as well as licensing for backup, retention, and archiving of email through Barracuda. This RFP for Office 365 licensing and migration was approved at the July 27th meeting. We put this out to far and wide, and we did receive back 5 separate bids from 5 separate companies. There were some companies that only bid on the migration services and the licensing costs for Office 365, whereas others put in for Barracuda backup solutions. And we did put in a couple of different options for the Barracuda backup solutions, whether it be for a complete edition, again, the backup and archiving of all of our Office 365 email, or to go to the next step to total email protection, which would incorporate some of the education and tools that we've been using over the past 6 months, where we start educating people on phishing schemes and some of the other items that are out there. So the recommendation this evening is to award Microsoft Office 365 licensing, migration, and implementation services to Systems Engineering out of Manchester, New Hampshire. I will let the board know when they originally submitted a bid, their bid for the migration service costs were the highest at $31,727.50. However, that also included several add-ons that they did not break out in their original cost. They had add-ons for SharePoint implementation. SharePoint is a Microsoft shared, basically a file sharing service where we can share those documents between individual users. They did not break that out separately, and they had other additional cost items in there. So Brian Ray, our IT system administrator, asked them to pull those out so we could compare apples to apples, and that's what you see on the little spreadsheet that you have in your packet. So that would bring it down to where it's comparable to some of the other vendors that put in. And what we would add is working with Systems Engineering. They are a Manchester, New Hampshire-based company with a service through their customer service reps and their engineers that are on the ground in Manchester, New Hampshire. We feel that would be beneficial to the town as we migrate everything over to this new product. Whereas some of the other companies outsource some of their customer service aspects and some of their engineering as well. So again, that's why we are recommending Systems Engineering for the licensing, the migration, and the implementation of Office 365. And then for the Barracuda backup, we would recommend the board go with RTM out of Bedford, New Hampshire, for that. And we would recommend the total email protection in the amount of $11,050. This item was budgeted for under CIP for the amount of $40,000. And what we talked about on July 27th is this does get us into the subscription-based model of software. So you will start to see a monthly cost for those departments. The good thing about this is we have the ability to change users as we see fit. So as we add on new users or lose users, we can change them at a moment's notice, working with the vendor, or the recommended vendor. Whereas there are some service contracts, I know the state of New Hampshire, they get a chance to add or delete users once a year. So, we do have that advantage, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about this.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Kelly.
Thank you. Derek, you mentioned that the 2020 CIP budgeted amount for this project was $40,000. Based on the administrative cost breakdown that you gave with all the costs on that, can we just walk through what the total cost is going to be for this project? I know the licensing subscription base does it a little bit differently, but so we have the 16,000 for System Engineering Manchester.
What
Can you
we
kind of
would
just walk through
propose,
that real quick?
yes, absolutely. So what we would propose is awarding a contract up to $22,897.50 for migration services for System Engineering out of Manchester. Talking with Brian Ray, our IT department and our IT staff may be able to reduce that number by taking some of the items off of the vendor's plate and taking some of those projects out to reduce that cost a little bit. So that would be just short of 23,000. And then we would also ask that you approve the $11,050 to Barracuda, to RTM Communications of Bedford, New Hampshire for the Barracuda. So that 23,000 plus the 11,000 brings us to just short of $34,000 of the budgeted 40. And then what we would do is we are going to see a savings on our Barracuda because we do currently have Barracuda firewall. So what we're trying to do is prorate that service contract, which is in the middle of the service contract, and pull that over into to reduce that 11,050 to see if we can get credit for what we've already paid for as we change to a new product. We also have another software package, which is called KnowBe4, which IT has used to run some fake phishing email scams to see if they can get anyone to bite on that, and then that triggers them to do some additional education items. And then what we would do is we'd move to a monthly account. So that revised amount of $15,932, that's based on the users that we had at the time the bid package went out. And that's an annual cost that would be paid monthly, but that's going to fluctuate as we have users coming in and out, and we're adding or taking away some of the different programs for each user.
Thank you, Derek. That makes a lot more sense with this. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from other board members?
Nope, I'm good.
Chet, you good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Oh, yeah, I get caught up here. So we need to take.
So I would ask if somebody's willing, if they could make two separate motions. One would be to award Microsoft Office 365 licensing, migration, and implementation services to System Engineering of Manchester, New Hampshire. The migration services cost would not to exceed $22,897.50, but to also authorize the town administrator and IT to negotiate a lower cost should we be able to take on some of the project with in-house staff.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. Second by Chet, I believe.
Yep.
Thank you, Chet. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call a roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0-0.
And the second motion I'd be asking for is to award Barracuda licensing for backup retention and archiving to RTM of Bedford, New Hampshire. And again, we would be looking to do the total email protection in the amount of $11,050.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank
second.
you, Chet. Motion by Chet and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
That motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, that now brings us to, we did our public hearing, so it brings us to item 10, the department update. Tab, 10. So the first one I have at tab 10 is the library. Is Diane here or Kelly, you want to speak on her behalf or?
I don't
Is
believe
Diane with us?
she's here. No, I can give an update. So they have entered another phase of the reopening plan, as I mentioned last meeting. So they've gone ahead and moved into that phase, and they are doing FOIA browsing for items and material, as well as the parking lot pickup, although that does have limited hours of Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, 5 to 7 p.m. And they'll be closed their normal times when no staff are available. They're also doing the computer reservations, so residents can call, or anyone can call and make an appointment to use the computer. And I believe that's it. Yep, that's it. They're very busy over there. They're doing a great job trying to get residents in and keep everybody safe.
Yeah, appreciate all the hard work. It's really nice. Thanks, Kelly. That's appreciated. Let's see. Chief Allard, did you want to give us an update on fire and EMS? Are you with us?
Yep.
Chief Allard?
Yep, good evening again. So we at the fire department, we continue to monitor the ever-changing information with regards to COVID-19. There seems to be daily changes with regards to restaurants being open and different requirements. From the fire department standpoint, all of our employees remain healthy. And the last thing that they'll report is we do have one apparatus out being serviced for some warranty work. That's it.
All right, thanks. Any questions for Chief Allard? How about Chief Serino? Are you with us?
I am. So far, the police department is still doing well. We are, good news on paper, fully staffed. Bad news is we still have some work to do. The other good news is we had our 3 graduates from the academy graduate on Friday, and they started their first day at work today, looking sharp. So we're on to a good start here, and we're in full swing with our 2 union negotiations. So we've got some work there to get done. But other than that, the PD's doing well, and hopefully we'll have some really great news at the end of the year with being fully staffed and moving forward. So that's where we're at.
That's great news, as well as with the graduates from the academy. That's great. Thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief? Adam, did you have anything else from DPW, or what would you like to share with us?
Sure do. So the Shirley Hill project, we paved in the box culvert area and the Wallace intersection last week. The box culvert now just needs a guardrail installation, and then we can open up that section and flip-flop back over to the other detour, so the other half of Shirley can get done. East Union Street was paved and curbing was installed last week. Got a good test today with the heavy rains. Sewer is wrapping up some of their work, and then we'll get back in for sidewalk building and some slope work this week. Welch Street was paved up on top of Shirley Hill. We had a neighborhood meeting for the Warren Ave and Duclos Street project right before the meeting tonight, and that went well. Good turnout for the meeting after the rain stopped. Sun came out and folks walked up the hill, so I think we've got a good beat on any stuff that we might have missed on the initial design over there. Look to start the project in September and hopefully get most of it wrapped up here before the end of the winter. End of the fall, I should say. And the last thing, we still have some positions open at DPW that we're actively trying to fill.
Thanks. You have good prospects for filling those?
We've got a couple. As you saw in your TA report tonight, we did have one resignation, so kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But we're getting close. Hopefully, we can fill those out before the winter months come when we need plowing assistance.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Adam? Okay, how about Rick? Rick Wilhelm, are you with us?
Rick is not with us this evening.
Okay. And how about Town Hall Administrative?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We've been, I know the town clerk has been very busy as we prepare for the primary elections coming up in September. She's been busy fielding requests for those absentee ballots. As of last week, they had 400 requests for absentee ballots for the primary alone. In 2018, they had just around 200 total. So with 2 weeks left, it's been very busy on the absentee front there. A big shout out and thanks to the crew over at DPW, Nate Strong and Matt Clement. Last week they went over to and met with the state to pick up our election PPE materials. And then Kara at DPW did a great job going through those and doing the initial inventory once they got back to DPW. And we've been going through those with Kathy Ball to see, to collect any items that may have been either not supplied or not what we expected to kind of plan for the elections. Kathy and I did meet with the moderator last week, and we are starting to see the final guidance come out of the Secretary of State's office and AG's office. So we are preparing to move forward with that. On the COVID front, department heads did meet last week, and we are going to be preparing some information for employees regarding school reopening and what impact some of the school closure may have on employees and what time they will have available to them under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And we continue to monitor any changes to the governor's emergency order, as well as the CDC and state travel guidance that continues to be modified. For the 2021 budget, we are starting the process of opening that up in our software package, so department heads will soon have the ability to start entering that. Danielle and I have been coordinating with the school and the budget committee chair on what the format of budget presentations will be this year. And I think the hardest thing is the budget committee being such a large committee, whether we go to remote meetings or perhaps an all-day presentation where we just get everybody in the room all on one day and get them all through. So we're still working on some of those final details. We'll have those for the board hopefully here pretty soon. And then lastly, we've been participating with the fire chief and police chief in discussions with the SAU on how the town can support those school reopening plans as they open back up on September 9th. But other than that, everybody remains healthy here at Town Hall, and we've been continue to be busy. As you can see, you had the MS1 this evening. You'll have the revised estimated revenues soon, and then we'll move towards tax rate setting in October.
Terrific. Thank you. Yeah, I've been to the town hall a couple of times to conduct business, and things are running very smoothly. They're doing a good job in there, Derek. Let's see, where are we at now? We're at item 11. This is new business and old business. I know we've got some old business to discuss relative to the Wallace Road roundabout. Is there any new business that any of the members of the board want to bring up before we jump into the discussion on the Wallace Road roundabout? Anything from anybody? Well, then let's revisit our old friend, the Wallace Road roundabout. This is in your, it's at tab 11B, at tab 11. And maybe we need to be refreshed. It has, remember, if you recall, wait a minute, let me back up. So far, at the last, I forget, it was the last meeting or the meeting before, we took action, I believe, to install 2 additional street lights in the roundabout area and also a stop sign on Wallace Road coming into the roundabout. Do I have that right, Derek? My memory served me right?
That does, was what was brought up during the last meeting. I have not yet advertised for the stop sign on Wallace Road would require a new ordinance. So we have not yet advertised on that based on where the meetings fall. We would start that process September 14th. And then again on September 28th, following the ordinance adoption process, if the board still wants to move forward with that.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that. This is there's a lot of little pieces that VHB brought to us, and I think, and my recollection was it was a consensus of the board that we move forward slowly, look at each individual piece one at a time, and combine them if it makes sense. And we did have discussion in this last meeting, I guess, maybe the one before, relative to 2 additional streetlights and then the stop sign. So I understand. I hear what you're saying about if we're going to put in a stop sign, we need to go through the public hearing process for adopting new ordinance. But I think it's time to do that. And since we need to go through that process, I think the sooner we start it, the better, if other members of the board are of the same mind. Was Adam going to get some costs for the 2 additional streetlights? I don't think he was.
Hi, Mr. Chair. I'm in here. I actually have requested those to be installed. It's going to be probably minimal cost because of the LED conversion. We actually have the streetlights hand already. The only cost would be if there's any need to drop a transformer or something for those. Eversource got the work order, and when they're ready, they're going to give me a call, and we're going to meet up on site to see if there's any additional requirements over there. But I expect it's going to be relatively minimal cost.
Good. So you're bird dogging that, Adam, right?
That's true. And unless the board feels differently, my plan was not to come back for a final approval unless that number was, over my typical maybe $3,000, max before I have to start getting bids, that sort of thing. But Eversource, of course, is the only source. But that's kind of the line I had in the sand for myself, was maybe a couple thousand.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see a need to come back before again. I think we can authorize you to proceed using your best professional judgment. So the issue of the stop sign, what do other board members feel? Do they feel like it's appropriate to start that process? Key up the public hearings? I think we should. Get some input from the public, see what they think about it. What do other folks feel?
I agree. I'd like to get public input on that. And I know we typically put it out on the website and in the Union Leader, but for that one, can we put it out on social media as well?
Yes, we can put that out there as well. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So in packet, there's also the other little pieces of the plan about adjusting some of the internal radiuses and additional aprons and pavement to make the movements through the roundabout more efficient. What are folks' thoughts on that? In the packet, you'll see costs associated with each of those incremental improvements.
Yeah. I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kelly, please.
I think when we look at the first option with the full radius, that would include reducing the size of the center and moving it over. I believe that was the most expensive one.
Yeah.
$18,000 for that? No, I'm sorry. Is that right? Sorry, I'm trying to look at the pictures and the cost.
Yeah, that one was listed at approximately $30,000.
Okay. So, I mean, for that one, my initial instinct is to say that we should go through a budgeting process if we were going to consider that. But I do believe that there are some other options on here that we could do now, like moving that curb back. This is area 3, the curb going up towards the school that kind of sticks out. There's ones like that one was $7,000. And 5,000. I want to stay away from anything that it requires us to take property if we can and look at the other less expensive options first and start chipping away at the improvements. And then I'd like to see us put in the budget for that $30,000 to move the interior center island.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kelly. I'd like to stay away from any of the land taking issues and see what we can do to work within our existing right-of-ways so as to, try to move this thing forward as soon as we can. Adam, I have a question for you. Are these incremental improvements interdependent of one another? In other words, does one have to be done before another? Do two have to be done together? Or are they all each separate, independent micro projects, if you will?
From the looks, I don't see anything that would require, doing all of them at once, other than the fact that we're in the intersection, we probably would want to try to lump them together. I was going to recommend if the board thinks that you want to wait on the center island, I would recommend I just build it into the road plan for 2021 and do all of them at that time. The center island is really, in my opinion, the big one. If that's not done, we're not going to really see the impact to the other improvements, because really what we're seeing the impact on right now is the center island. So if that's still landscape there, we're going to still see trucks driving over it no matter what we do. I think all around, it's that piece, once it's really done, we'll see the benefit. So I would recommend you wait and just do them all together next summer when school's out.
Yeah, and build them into the road plan.
That would be my recommendation, and only disrupt that major thoroughfare just that one time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I do like that option. I like that option. And Adam, I wonder too, I know you just talked about doing them all at once, but would there be any cost savings of doing them all at once? Or is it, would it be easier project-wise to spread them out?
Bet because of the nature of the work, where it's going to be curbing and cobble installation, that's going to be contracted anyway. We would set that to curb work. So I think you're probably going to save a little bit of mobilization anyhow to do it all at once.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that if you do them all at once, you put money on mob and demob as compared to, mobbing and demobbing for each little incremental piece. So yeah, I think there'd be some cost savings associated with bundling them.
Thing for the board that coming into this, one of my inclinations was to just make a second tier center island altogether and make it fully traversable, which turns this into what's called a mini roundabout in the MUTCD, the federal highway regs, for traffic control. But doing some research for the meeting, they're not recommending mini roundabouts for over 6,000 cars a day, and we're over that, of course. So unfortunately, if there's a smaller neighborhood, that'd be a great solution. We wouldn't see any evidence of these trucks, but where there's so much traffic, they don't recommend it. So it looks like that option might be out.
Okay.
I have a question, Collis.
Go ahead, Mark.
So earlier today, I was traveling from town hall back home. I had a large tractor trailer truck in front of me. The branches and the trees that are on the outside of the roundabout, is there any way that we could possibly take a look and trim some of those? This tractor trailer was brushing up side of them and taking them around. I'm just wondering if Adam may have a chance to address that or look at that so that we could maybe take some of those branches and trees and twigs out of there. And I think it'll open it up a little bit more.
Sure can. I know the VHB had recommended some trimming back of the shrubbery for sightline purposes.
Correct.
May not need to do that too aggressively, but certainly if there's higher branches, I'll take a look at that, see if we can knock it out with either a roadside mower or a little bit more surgical methods.
Thank you. That's all I have, Collis.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Anybody else on board have anything for Adam?
All set.
Thank you. Kelly, you all set?
I'm all set, thank you.
Chet, Chet, did I hear you say you're all set?
You did.
That wraps up. So we need to have another public comment, right?
Yes.
Eric, second public comment opportunity. Is there anybody on the phone that wants to provide comment that you can see?
No, there's nobody on the telephone.
Okay. I think that concludes our portion. I don't believe we have anything in non-public, do we?
I do not have anything for non-public for the board this evening.
Hey, I think we're done then.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Second by Kelly. Thank you. I'll call the roll. Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Motion passed. Motion carried 4-0. Thanks, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and get outside right now because there is an absolutely gorgeous sunset going on.
Take
Thanks for everybody for attending.